Hello and welcome to It's Queer Magic. It's me, your host, Kier Bow, here looking into the future for you. Let's jump in. We're going to take a look at the energy behind March. I've pulled some cards. We've got some sweet energy on the table. And I want to go through this because there's a lot of potential this month for real movement, for real growth. And the trouble is that it might not feel like it at the front of the month, right? It might not feel like we're going at a high speed or in any particular direction until spring gets here. And I know that that can be frustrating. I get it. I'm right there with you. But there's some beauty on the table here that is really going to help us get through this month with grace and with gleaning the most that we can out of our circumstances. So let's jump right into the cards. So the card I've pulled as the theme of the month is the Page of Wands. And this is the Page of Wands from the Smith Rider-Waite Centennial Edition, which is just what I'm using this week. And the Page of Wands as our guide, as our theme of the month, really encourages us to be super curious about what makes us tick, about where the feelings are coming from, about what the frustration is really tied to. All of our emotional experience, this is true most of the time, but especially heightened this month, that our emotional experience is trying to light the way forward. It's trying to guide our path. It's trying to carve our way straight through in the most highest and best aligned path forward for us to get to the bottom of this, for us to really get at the root system of what has been poisoning our forward motion, what we've been running up against, like feeling like we're running up against the wall because it's such a deep-seated and long-standing pain that we have built up so many defenses and so many coping mechanisms and so many ways to just kind of keep living because that's all we could do. And if you are willing, and if you are brave, and if you are vulnerable and honest with yourself this month, you will really see some growth. You will really see the benefits. You'll see the results of what you've been working on, the fruits of your labor in your emotional work, in your healing, in your growth. The other cards that I've pulled, we have the Three of Swords, the Empress, and the Sun. And I know that sometimes when we see the Three of Swords, we're like, I don't want a sword in my heart. And you don't have to worry. This does not mean that something horrible is going to happen. What the Three of Swords really represents and speaks to is the experience of having a heart with swords in it, having a wounded heart center, being a human alive in the world with pain. And the Three of Swords is the beginning of the healing journey of this. This is not the moment, right, when the swords pierce the heart. And of course, the Three of Swords can be interpreted that way, but that's not what's on the table right now. Right now, we are looking at incredible reception of healing, of growth, of softening in the hard parts of our hearts, of getting down to past the scar tissue, down to the root of it, to start pouring some love in there, to stitch that back up, to get us to a place where we feel whole, where we feel safe in our bodies, where we feel safe in our dreams, we feel safe to dream out into the world in a way that will help us actually achieve what it is that we're meant to achieve and what we want to achieve, which are interlinked. So I want to touch on the Sun as well, because the Sun is not necessarily a guarantee of a beautiful, happy experience. I know there's a baby and a horse and a ribbon, a flag. I got it. A flag. The Sun represents the experience of going through what you're going through, working on what you're working on the inside, and then seeing that in the physical world or seeing that on the outside of you. So this reading isn't telling you that this is a guarantee that everyone listening is just going to feel amazing. This is saying that whatever you've been working on, whatever you've been trying to heal, whatever you have been actively giving your attention and time and energy to, you are going to be able to engage with this in the real world, in the physical world, outside of your inner world. And exposure isn't always comfortable. We know that. Exposure isn't necessarily always safe. We know that. People die of exposure every day. And that doesn't mean that you're in danger. What I'm trying to say is that when the sun is on the table, we are invited to be vulnerable. We're invited to be honest with ourselves. We're invited to experience the, again, fruits of your labor, whatever it is that's going on in your inner life. You're going to get a chance to like see that that's worked. Like if you have been working on boundaries and you've been working on like not letting this person be in your space or not letting this person take up space in your mind, like this month you might get the chance to like actually say no in real life and see that work and see the space that you have feel like it's grown a little bit on all sides. You know, if you've been working on not hating yourself, if you've been working on speaking kindly, on being honest with yourself and not being overly critical or overly harsh, you might see in your real life that you might go into like a clothing store, right? And try on something and not immediately tear yourself down. That's the kind of progress the sun can show us. It's not going to show us any progress that we haven't been working on, right? And on the flip side of that, if there's something that you really have been ignoring and it is in your way and it's in your highest and best, that there is no other path through it, and the sun card is on the table, it means that the sun is going to show you on the outside of your body, on the outside of your mind and your emotional sense, in the physical world, most likely, that this can no longer be ignored, right? That's why it's like the sun is great. It gives life. It also burns. It also kills, right? It's a both and situation. And you'll hear that from me all the time. I'm a literal Gemini stellium. Boop, boop. But I don't want you to forget that the Empress is here. The Empress is here, which is inviting us to see if we can expand our limit when it comes to what we believe we can receive. Not just financially, not just in coins, not just in friends, not just in lovers. In every aspect of our in the core of like who we are and what we think is possible for us, what we think is probable for us, what we are afraid to even want because we think we can't have it. The Empress wants to come through and stretch all of those boundaries to give you more space. The Empress says you're natural here. The Empress says you have all that you need here, and whatever you're missing, I will deliver it to you. And it might not be on your timeline, and it might not be in the way that you prefer, but life is life. And there's nothing else that we could do about that, right? Life is life, and things are going to happen that are outside of our control. Chaos is one of the rules of the universe, right? It's one of the core tenets here. It's one of the big gods. And there's nothing that any of us can do but to engage with our lives, to engage with the chaos that presents itself before us, and dig our heels into fertile hope, into rich earth that is hope. Because that muscle is going to help you believe that you can have more, that you can experience more, that you are valuable in a way that you never understood because of your inherent worth, because of you being a being on this planet. That existence has said, you exist, here you are, you're in a vessel, you're in a body. The only way to exist is to receive. If we're closed off from receiving, it's really complicated to try to keep living, right? And I'm not talking about like being a millionaire or like on the opposite side of that, of thinking that you aren't receiving and you don't have your basic needs met because you're like not open to receiving, right? That's not what I'm saying. No matter where you are in your financial situation, there is a capacity that you have to receive. There's a top level, and you may have started down here and gotten to here and think that you're at the top, that is as good as it gets. It's as big as it can possibly be. It's as much as you're allowed to have. And that is not true. There are very few people that have reached that. And even then, they've only reached that in a certain area of their lives. But we'll talk about that at another time. Right now, we are talking about March presenting us with the opportunities to see what pain is really in the way. And it is going to be layered. It's going to be layered. There's going to be something at the top that once you see that, you think, oh, great. But that's just the first thing. There's going to be something else. And because of this like deep layered experience that March is going to bring before us, the challenges are represented in, funnily enough, all wands. The challenges are represented through the Nine of Wands, the King of Wands, and the 8. The challenges are really rooted in our own ability to wield our will and our own ability to keep going through hard times and our own ability to know that we're tired, but see the finish line so close and to find a way to keep going, to see that this is an unsustainable pace. This is not how you can live forever, but right now it's the big push. That's the energy. And the thing is that this is a beautiful blessing and it's a challenge. It's coming up in the challenge area because it's difficult sometimes when you want to quit to tell yourself to keep going, especially in 2023. It is difficult sometimes to continue to move forward in a way that you know is wholly unique to you. And so you are not being validated on the outside of you anywhere because no one has done this the way that you're doing it. And it can be tempting to quit and give up and think that this is ridiculous because who do I think I am? Thinking that I can live my life this way when no one else does. Thinking that I can heal myself this way when no one else has. To think that I could live in the way that is wholly unique to me is not possible. And so that, like, these two cards are on these opposite sides of each other. The King of Wands saying that it is your duty to the rest of us to do exactly what it is that you're meant to do, that you must let those desires bloom inside of you and then let them be born into the world. You have to try. I mean, you don't have to. This is a free will universe. You do not have to. But if you want what you want, this is how you get it. If you want to heal, this is how you get it. If you want to live better, if you want to have more good days, then you've got to go through this tunnel. You've got to go through and experience this contraction and trust yourself and then show yourself that you can persevere. And there's this like chaotic energy in the 8 of Wands. It really is this like all of the things are in the air. And I honestly think that all of the cards in the challenges zone are just expressing like how it's going to feel to be shown where things hurt, to have the love poured onto it, to receive some kind of like clarity and blessing that helps you to really, really pour big love on a really old wound so that you can live, so that you can be reborn, so that you can be resurrected in spring and move through your life feeling good, feeling better is what I'll say, having more good days. Let's see what's on the bottom of the deck because I think that is the key to the whole thing. If I can grab it. Yes. Oh, on the bottom of the deck is the 3 of Wands, because at the end of this month, we will actually be moving forward into the new life that you have been trying to build, actually doing it. And I understand being like frustrated or jaded or annoyed that you feel like maybe you've been getting this message, but you've just been in the 2 of Wands and not the 3. The 2 of Wands says, oh, the idea, something new, something incredible. The 3 of Wands says, we are moving. We're doing this. This is a stable plan and we're moving forward. Everything that is wrapping up this month for you is in an effort to really let you start the zodiacal astrological new year in spring at the end of the month. The truest version of yourself possible, the highest version of yourself possible, the most healed version of yourself possible, and most of all, more than any of those things, the most honest version of yourself possible. You're moving into a world in the spring that that has you maybe still afraid, but able to move with that fear, to walk along the path that you're called, including the fear, despite the fear, whatever works for you. Some of you might need to be like, well, despite this. Some of you might need to be like, this is my friend. It's fear. It's trying to tell me, watch out for that. And I say, good looking out. I'll consider it, but I got it, and I'll move forward anyways. The Page of Wands, I want to come back to the theme. The Page of Wands tells us that we get to engage in our hearts, in our passion, in our energy, in a new way, in an unprecedented way for you, that allows you to understand why you're hurting in the way that you're hurting and how to move beyond it. But it requires that you are anchored in that curiosity. It requires that you are anchored in the willingness to see all of the truths that you are holding and all of the lies, all of the untruths that you are holding between yourself, your vision, and what you really think, who you really are, right? This is not about lying to people. This is about not being able to see what's underneath how you're behaving. And this beautiful blessing this month says, I am going to help you heal by showing you what it is you need to see, by pouring a beautiful balm, a cooling, healing balm of love over these old wounds, and then showing you in this real world, in the physical world, that wounding, those fears that you have are true about you, how no one likes you, how you're not worth anything, how the world is crushing down upon you, how there is no possible way to live happy and live well right now, and it's not ethical to do so. All of those deep-seated fears, you're going to be shown in your real physical world that they aren't rooted in the truth for you, and that there's more that is possible than you ever thought was possible for yourself. Even things that you hold true for other people, like that's true for them, but it could not be true for me. Baby, that's not how it's happening. That's not it. The difference between you doing what you want versus you thinking someone else is the only person that can do it for you is a mindset. It's an expansion of what you believe. Because you and your thinking mind and your conscious brain, you can't see the whole picture of your value, of your skill, of your expansive spirit. And that's okay. That's fine. As long as you trust yourself, to follow your desire, to stay true to your desire, and to make an effort despite the fear, despite any of the things, the structures that you've built, that the rest of the world has built, that the marginalized identities that you hold have been built on top of you, right? Despite any of those things, you are more. You are valuable, and you can move towards a life that has you feeling authentic and aligned and purposeful and having more good days. But this is an emotional month. Understand that you've got tools that you'll need to gather. Gather the tools that you know work. If you haven't meditated in forever, baby, this is your sign. If you haven't had a good eating schedule in months, now is the time. If you have been messing up your sleep schedule on purpose because, you're scrolling forever or even if not on purpose, you're just not sleeping, now is the time to investigate and see what you can do to look inside of yourself, to find the resources. If you have been avoiding therapy because they said something that was too close to true, maybe it's time to go back. Maybe it's time to try to find somebody else. I don't know. But these tools are necessary now. Do not let the conspiracy theory, do not let all of the fuzzy boundaries of what is real and what is not distract you from your path forward. Be informed, absolutely, but don't be distracted. That fear is so you don't try. And the only way to combat this oppressive force that says don't try is to be a warrior and do it anyways. And that's something you have inside of you already. So I hope that this was helpful. This is a beautiful month. There's so much ahead of us. There's a lot of sweet astrology right off the top that is going to help you really see and help you really engage in something that feels elevating, that feels like you're evolving. I recommend that you take a look in your chart where Aries is and see what house that rules, see if you have any planets or any particular aspects, because we have the Jupiter Venus conjunction coming up there right now if you're watching this on the 1st, and that energy is just trying to help you, and it can show you, your chart will show you in whatever area Aries is in. So I recommend that. I'm not an astrologer. Astrologers, pop off in the comments, tell us what else we need to look forward to. And that's my bag. Remember, the Page of Wands says to be curious and try. The Three of Swords says that there is healing on the way, but you've got to be vulnerable enough to let someone come in, and let someone very well, may be you, come in and start to pull those swords out of your heart. And the Sun says that you are gonna see the fruits of your labor, but you've got to just keep going. Okay? I love you. Take care of yourself. Stay queer. And we'll chat soon. If you liked this reading or you like the content here and you want more, you can join It's Queer Magic's Patreon space and join the Rainbow Witches Discord server. You'll get weekly readings. We do a bunch of meetups. There's so many opportunities to just like hang out with other cool witchy queers, talk about astrology, talk about tarot, talk about your cats, share memes. We even play tabletop role-playing games. Like, it's so gay in there. If you like that, you know where the links are. Follow me on Instagram, like and share this with somebody you think needs to hear it, and subscribe if you want more. Okay? Take care. See you soon. Mwah.